Last week, it was 4 years since I stopped drinking alcohol. Wow, 4 years! I mean, I haven't touched this stuff in years. Like, I can barely remember what it smells like. I haven't tasted a drop of red wine in so long, and today, I'm going to speak with you about what I learned from not drinking for 4 years and why I did this. Stick around. I'm just kidding. This is fruit juice, or at least I thought it was fruit juice. I tasted this, and this is concentrated, like, you know, that sugar juice that my mom made for me that you can mix with water. This is a concentrate. So sweet. Didn't expect that. And sorry for the dramatic intro. This video is not going to be that dramatic. It's not even going to be that much about alcohol in and of itself. It's going to be about a huge psychological insight I had from quitting something that is so common in our society. All the insecurities that brought to surface within me, and what you can learn and what I learned about psychological freedom that can be used in all areas of your life. I'm so excited to talk with you about this. So let's get into it. So it was 4 years ago since I quit alcohol. But this video is not going to be about alcohol or quitting alcohol or the benefits of that decision, even though I think that would be a wonderful video for another day. No, this video is going to be about a psychological insight, actually a series of psychological insights that I had when I stopped doing something that is so normal in our society. Because when I did this decision, I was going out a lot and everyone around me was drinking. And just the idea of going against that brought up a lot of insecurities in me. And what I learned from those insecurities and how I dealt with it and how I now own myself more is highly useful for you to create psychological freedom in all areas of your life. So I'm really excited to speak with you today about the discoveries I made. So stick around for the 3 surprising insights I had when I quit drinking alcohol. And I must say, I feel uncomfortable talking about this, because when I tell anyone I stopped drinking alcohol, I know the first thought that goes into their head. Did he have a drinking problem? And I expect you to think that as well. And that is one reason why it was so uncomfortable going against the grain of society. I mean, I was drinking heavily when I was like 15, 16, and I for the first time discovered that, I can alter the state of my consciousness. But then as I matured a bit, I started drinking less when I went out. Maybe I had a few glasses on a night, and it was a healthy way of drinking. But I never dared to go out without drinking. I don't think I ever had been in a bar without a drink in my hand. Why? Because one question was way too uncomfortable for me to answer. The question of, would you like a drink? I'm out with my guy friends, we are in the bar, and they say, what would you like? Can I buy you something? And for me, it was always too uncomfortable to say, no thank you, I don't want to drink. Because in my mind, that would invite so many questions like, why not? Do you have a problem? Or why are you boring? Maybe they don't even want to hang out with me. I had so many reasons for why in me it would be unsafe to say no. And that changed later when I started going out on my own. I started going out solo. I wanted to push my social comfort zone. I wanted to meet new people. I wanted to discover who I was when I was not influenced by my social circle. And that was so fascinating because when I went out on my own, I never went to the bar or bought anything. And there wasn't anyone that was expected to buy me something. Like, I would talk to strangers and stuff, but they would rarely offer me a drink. And if they did, it would be a lot easier to say no because I wouldn't see them again. So I regularly started going out on my own, sober. And I found it so much more fun. First, I could take the car to the club where I was going. I felt like I was more mentally sharp. It was so much easier for me to have a real conversation with someone. And I didn't get tired in the end of the night. And I didn't feel like shit the day after because I get real hangover from alcohol. I hated the experience of going out, having a couple of drinks, sleep terribly, and then the next day where I wanted to work on some passion project or something that would bring value to you guys. I hated not being fully committed to that, not being fully there, not having my mental power brain turned on. And maybe that's me, maybe that's just my personality, but I would like to play life full out. I would like to be on my deathbed and look back and say, hey, I gave it all. I showed up every day. I was clear-minded as often as possible. So when I wasn't influenced by my social circle, it became so clear what my values were. So clear. Like, I don't like doing this. But still, there was this question in my mind that would always stop me. What will people think? So I went to LA with a real good friend of mine, Eric, and he's not drinking much either. And since I was there for a month with only one person, I felt safe to tell him that I want to stop drinking and I want to be sober. And he was supportive and encouraging, which I expected him to be. And for that month, him and I were going out a lot. And we were talking to a lot of strangers, and we both wanted to expand our comfort zones at that stages in our life. And I started getting more and more comfortable on my own, being sober and going out and socializing. But I was dreading, and I thought of it so many times, what will happen when I go back to Stockholm, to my social circle? What are they going to do? Are they going to be supportive? Are they going to shame me? Are they going to think I'm boring and be less likely to invite me to go out with them or engage with me? Are they going to try to convince me into drinking again? That was the one I was the most afraid of. I just couldn't stop imagining being in a bar with some friends and they're like, no, come on, just have a drink, come on. Like, it was very American Pie in my head. And I was convinced that would be the case. I was running scenarios in my mind, like, okay, when they try to convince me, I will do this. When they think I'm boring, this is what I will respond. So I had this whole manuscript prepared. I've been rehearsing it, like page by page, on the flight all the way back to Stockholm. And then the night came, where we were all going out, my whole gang. And I remember just like shaking and stammering the first time someone asked me, so you're not drinking? And I was like, my voice going, no, I'm sober now. I've been sober for a month. Going like this, as if someone would punch me. And their response was so surprising. They said, okay. Huh? What do you mean, okay? I was only expecting the most dramatic responses. Either anything in the line of, why are you so boring? Have a drink or go home. Anything between that and them rolling out the red carpet, blowing in the trumpets and giving me a medal for being so brave of doing this. In my mind, it was such a big deal. But no one really cared. Isn't that interesting? From 20 of my friends, can you guess how many people did some kind of extreme response? 0. Not a single friend cared. They just wanted what was best for me. And if I said I wanted to do this, they were supportive. Isn't that surprising? Isn't that interesting? So the first surprising insight from stopping drinking alcohol is that you have no idea what people will think of you. And what you think is true is never going to be as bad as you think, and it's never going to be as good as you think either. It's always going to be much less than that, because you're only the hero in your own story. You are not the hero in other people's lives. They care about their lives. They are the hero in their life. You're just a side character. And knowing that you are not the hero in anyone else's life makes it so much easier to do what is best for you. Make sense? The second important insight here that I really wasn't expecting is that removing yourself from your social circle can have a highly helpful impact on you finding your own values, discovering what is true and important from you. Afterwards, it was so evident to me that while I was in the same social circle, the same dynamic, the same way of thinking and being influenced by other people's thoughts, it was almost impossible for me to distinguish what is true for me. But when I removed myself, going out on my own or going on the trip to LA for a month, I could play around with being who I wanted to be, and I could play around with being in ways that I have never been before. I think one of the most important things for our psychology is to act in line with our identity. And our identity is so based around what other people expect of us. So we're so driven to be what is expected. And then it's so hard to experiment. It's so hard to discover our values or what is important for us. I was playing professional poker for over 10 years, and my whole social circle in Stockholm, most of them were other poker players. So that was, what was important in my circle was poker. And then when I was around 27, I started doubting, is poker really what I want to do? Am I the person who I want to be? So I stopped playing, and I took 1 year where I traveled. I moved to the US, I moved to Berlin, and for 1 year I didn't work, and the only thing I did was to study psychology and philosophy and learning about life. And there I could really experiment with being different versions of Emil. I could experiment with being a highly social and outgoing person. I could experiment with being a spiritual person. I could experiment with being different versions of me. And after testing different stuff, I could piece myself together and exit that year more clear on who I prefer to be and what my values are. So finding your values is easier when you remove yourself from your social circle. And it doesn't have to be as dramatic as taking a year off, because I realize not everyone can do that. But maybe you can go for a 1-week hike. Maybe you have a family that has a cabin in the forest. You can shut off your phone and start thinking in ways where you're not influenced by other people. The third insight I had from both quitting alcohol but starting to push my comfort zone as well is that one of the biggest blocks from psychological and emotional well-being is neediness. And neediness is when you care more about what other people think of you than what you think of yourself. There can be many reasons for why you're being needy. Maybe you don't even know your values, so you don't know what's important for you, in which case it would make a lot of sense to remove yourself temporarily from your social circle and do life philosophy. Or maybe you think you're important in other people's lives, and you are. It's just that you're not the hero in their story, you're just a side character. So if you can lower how important you are, it's going to be easier for you to do what is best for you. There might be a lot of other reasons too, but pay attention to when you make what other people think more important than what you think. And I'm not going to ask you to stop caring about what people think, because that is an impossible ask. Just find out what you think on yourself and don't break that integrity. It's going to build so much confidence from you. And that is the opposite of being needy. And it's going to change your life on so many levels. I love talking with you about these topics. I mean, I could do it forever. And I'm here on social media because I want to do as much research as I can, find the very best ideas on how to improve yourself and build confidence and psychological well-being and so much more. Everything you need to build a better life. And I want to give it to you for free here on YouTube and Instagram. I want your life to improve. So if you enjoy this, hit subscribe, hit like, share this with someone that you would maybe like to see these ideas about stopping drinking alcohol. And also remember that I offer one-on-one personalized coaching to anyone who want to dive really deep and rapidly transform their lives. Could that be you? Would you be bold enough to invest that much in your own progression? If you are, go to whatsmissing.com and learn more about how you and I can interact. And of course, I'll see you in the next video. So sweet! Why did I drink again?